Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. That was disgusting. I keep, being annoying. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about my piercings. I'm going to be talking about what piercings I have, the healing process, how much they were, where I went, all of that so that you guys know what I have and what it is like in case you want one. So let's get started on with the video. No, that wasn't English. That wasn't proper English. So let's get started with the video. As of right now, I have 10 piercings. 10 piercings. You can't see me. The first piercing that I got was my first lobe right here. She is. And I actually did not get these when I was a baby. I got them done when I was 16 years old. It's so sad. My mom and my dad, not that my dad would, but my mom especially did not want to force me to get my ears pierced when I was a baby. I guess she thought that I'd get them when I wanted to at 7 or 10. But when I got older, I was actually petrified of getting my ears pierced, so I was like, nope, not getting it done. And my mom and my aunts, they all wanted me to get my ears pierced, and I would just reject it. I was like, I'm not getting it done, I'm never getting it done. But one day I was in my SAT exam and I thought in my head, I kind of want to get my ears pierced. Don't ask me why I was thinking about that during my exam, but I was. So right after the exam, I asked my mom to take me to the mall to Claire's. Now that I have more piercings and I've been to a professional piercer, I can recommend not going to Claire's. And here's why. So when I went to Claire's and I got my first lobes, this side was fine, but when they did this side, the gun got stuck in my ear. The woman was like, oh, I'm so sorry, and she kept yanking it and it hurt so bad. I started crying and it was so embarrassing because I was 16 years old holding this stupid Claire's teddy bear in my arm. Everyone was watching because it's in the middle of a mall. So as a result, this hole is actually a little bit crooked, so it's kind of hard to get my earring in. Not that I take these out a lot anyway. I got that done in May of 2016, and then fast forward a couple months, in November of 2016, I decided I wanted to get my second lobes, which I can't feel this one. Oh yeah, it's right here. Right there. Actually, I went back to the mall, but I ended up going to Piercing Pagoda because it was super spontaneous, and I was just I want to get it done. And I actually was freaking out because of the pain, because of the previous experience, but it was fine. The only thing I don't recommend is going to Piercing Pagoda because their cleaning solution actually did not work well at all for me. I think it made the piercing infected before, it didn't even make it clean. So I ended up using the rest of my bottle from Claire's, and it worked. And then I fell down a rabbit hole, and in January 2017 I decided I wanted my third lobes. I was like, let's just freaking go for it, man. I want this. I'm gonna look like a badass bitch. This is my third lobe. And I actually went back to Claire's for this one because I didn't learn my lesson any other time. And I have video from it. Just so you know, I was saying it burns because it actually did burn quite a lot. Don't know why, but I will insert the video here. That burns a lot. Oh, okay.
Holding her teddy bear.
So yeah, that was in January 2017, and I got my third lobes, and then I was like, I'm done. It's cute, we like it, we don't have to worry about it anymore. Yeah, wrong. I ended up really wanting my cartilage pierced, but I actually didn't get it for a while because I was really scared of the pain, and a lot of people that I know have told me horror stories about cartilage piercing, so I was just no. Fast forward to August of 2018, which was last year. I decided on a whim, I think it was August 6th or something, when I was shopping with my mom one day, and I was just you know what? Let's go get my cartilage pierced. And instead of going to the mall because I knew that you shouldn't get a gun on your cartilage, I ended up going to a professional piercing place by me called Village Streetwear. Highly recommend if you live on Long Island. It is amazing. I got this one, the top hoop, but I got it pierced with a stud and it was fine. It didn't really hurt that bad. It was like a quick pinch. It was more painful than the lobes. It was so manageable. By the time that you processed that a needle was in your ear, like the piercing was already done, and it was so cute. The only thing that was hard was sleeping on it, but I slept on this side. But then I fell down a deeper rabbit hole, and 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later I went back to Village Streetwear and I was like, I really want my double helix. So I ended up getting this hoop under this cartilage, so there's 2 of them. I got that done, didn't hurt at all. I thought it was super cute, both studs at the time. And then the same day I was talking about how cute I think rook piercings are. The woman that was piercing me was like, why don't we just do your rook then? And at the time I was like, why not? So this is my rook, if you can see it. It's just this flap of cartilage right here. There's a little bar. I actually have a longer barbell than what I got it pierced with. I'll insert a photo. But yeah, and when she pierced it, she put like a clamp on the cartilage, which actually pinched a little bit, but it wasn't like painful. And then she pierced it, and that hurt. Like, that shit hurted. I was like, I'm out of here. The pain, I would say, was probably a 4 to 5 out of 10 when she pierced it, because I heard like a crunch. It sounded like a twig was snapping, which is just disgusting. But then when she pierced it, like finally I was like, thank God. But she was like, I'm gonna put the jewelry in now, and that actually hurt a lot more than the piercing. It hurt like a 6 out of 10. And then it was done and I was like, oh my God, thank God. And then I started feeling like super sweaty, and like I was sweating, I was pale, and I was just shaking a lot. Like I couldn't control myself. I was like, and she was like, are you okay? And of course I didn't want to like cause a scene, so I was like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm so good, thank you. And she was like, yeah, you're not fine. So she made me lay down on a mat on the floor and drink coconut water. And at the time I was like, this is so embarrassing, but praise her for doing that, because A, I would have passed out, and B, even though the coconut water tasted disgusting, it still made me stop shaking very quickly, and I ended up being fine in 2 minutes. And then I got up, went home, and this hurt for quite a while, probably a straight week, and then it just kind of like subsided. But since I got it pierced, it's been a little bitch, I'm not gonna lie. The rook is so sensitive. I got multiple infections and keloids on it. I had to get the shorter bar changed because I had to get an MRI. Then when they like put it back in, they were like, yeah, we're changing the bar because my rook was so swollen and there were like such huge keloids that they were like, this needs more room to like breathe. And then since then it was fine, but I can't wear any headphones that go over the ear or in the ear, because then the rook gets like pissed off. And sometimes like you can't sleep on it, and then sometimes it just like swells up randomly. Like the other day I was at school and I felt like an itch on my rook, and I was like, this feels weird. And like I can tell when my rook is annoyed when I like go like this and my whole ear hurts. And it did that, and then I looked in the mirror and it was just bleeding randomly. I'll insert a couple of photos here of multiple infections that I've had on my rook. It's disgusting. TMI, look away if you're squeamish, but it just goes to show the reality of a rook piercing healing. So that was my rook. It's actually better than like a couple of days ago. It swelled up again, but like it seems to like swell up randomly and then go down and then swell up randomly and then go down. I just think that it's a part of the healing process, so I don't even worry about it anymore. And then the last piercing that I have here is my nose. Yeah, boy, got my nose pierced. Ew. Yeah, so after I got all of my ear piercings, I was like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm not getting anything more. So much money. I don't want to do it. The pain. And then I fell down a rabbit hole on Pinterest. And I was like, I want to get my nose pierced. That took a while to think about because obviously it's a facial piercing and it's a lot different than ear piercings, and I wasn't sure how my family would feel about it. In December of 2018, solid 3 days before Christmas, I was like, let's go back to Village Streetwear and get my nose pierced. The piercer used a clamp on my nose. It didn't hurt at all. And then she just pierced it, and honestly it didn't really hurt that bad at all. It was just kind of like a deep pinch. It was quick though. I would rate the pain probably a 2 or 3 out of 10. And then putting in the jewelry was kind of uncomfortable, and it was just pressure. It didn't actually hurt. And after it was just red. I'll insert a photo here. After it was just red for a little bit, and it was actually sore for a couple days, but then after a week or so, it didn't hurt at all. That's my nose, and those are the stories of all my piercings. Now on to healing and price. So for my first lobe piercing, I actually had my first, second, and third. They were all relatively the same price. I think they were around $50 each, because I had to get both sides, and then I had to pay for the earrings also. And then the first helix, I want to say it was like 60 to 70 because I went to a professional piercer, so it's obviously a little more expensive. So it's like 60 bucks for the helix because it's obviously a more expensive piercing. The day that I got my other helix piercing in my rook, it ended up being 120. I don't know why I'm touching my face so much, I'm sorry. And then when I got my nose, that was 80 because I tipped a lot because it was around Christmas time. So it ended up being quite a lot of money for each, but my most expensive piercing by far was probably my nose. For my first lobes and the second lobes and my thirds, I ended up using the Claire's ear care solution. I used this. It's a lifesaver, like really. I don't know what they put in it, but it's amazing. And I don't use this, but this was the Piercing Pagoda bottle that they gave me. This is what I used on my second lobes. I don't really recommend it. It didn't really help that well, actually. And then when I went to Village Streetwear for my helix piercings, my rook, and my nose, but excluding my nose because I said I don't use their stuff. This was Kaleido Silver Spray that they gave. Well, it didn't come with the piercing. I had to pay for it, but it's just a little spray. I don't really have anything in a bottle right now. And I also paid for this Piercing Aftercare Wound Wash. And this is what I use on my rook when it gets swollen randomly and it goes down overnight. It's actually really good. And the last thing that I use, which is on my nose, is I use this Sterile Saline Nasal Mist from CVS. It's great, honestly. I use it every day, twice a day, morning and night. I just spray the outside of my nose and then the inside so I can get the bar. And it's painless now. Completely painless. Honestly, my nose was probably the easiest piercing to heal. And on to like the healing process. My first lobes were fine after like a month or two. Same with the seconds. The thirds took probably like 3 to 4 months to like feel perfectly fine. And my helix piercings, they're still not healed. I got them in August. If you can't see here, I have like small bumps on my helix. I've actually developed keloids on them. They were really, really, really bad. I'll probably do another video about how to get rid of keloids because I've done many different methods that I think would be helpful for people. But the thing that I do now to help them and keep the bumps down, because they're still there but they're super small now, is I use tea tree oil, usually twice a day, but lately I've been putting it on once a day just to let my piercing breathe, and then I think I'm gonna start using saline on it again. So my helix piercings are not healed. It's been 6 months, but I think cartilage piercing healing is at least 6 months to a year, so mine's gonna be the longer side of that. They're not healed, and neither is my rook. Sometimes I think it is, and then it just swells up randomly again. So I don't know what to say about that. My nose, on the other hand, I believe is healed. I mean, probably not like deep healed, but it feels fine. Like it's painless. But yeah, those are all my piercings. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions about piercings, aftercare, pricing, where to get it, what piercing should I get, leave a comment down below. I'll respond to any. And if you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Peace! Fucking light is blinding me! Oh! So bad.